You are listening to The Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
85% of London finance professionals reckon being good at AI matters more for a promotion than traditional skills. Let that land. Welcome to Vocal Technologist. We are going to get right into the guts of what happens when artificial intelligence gets its own wallet and, starts making actual financial decisions for you.
Yeah, it is. It really is something else. We are watching the quiet rewiring of global finance here. It is this massive shift away from human-driven choices, moving directly toward automated agent infrastructure.
Right.
And it is happening everywhere. I mean, from the institutional trading floors right down to the phone sitting in your pocket.
Which is wild, because if the bankers are using AI to get a leg up in their careers, everyday consumers are basically weaponizing it for their own bank accounts.
Oh, absolutely.
Which brings us to this whole concept of the optimization economy, because affluent consumers, the ones who actually have a bit of disposable income to throw around, they are already leaning heavily on AI for product discovery. They are not just Googling things anymore. They are using agents to scrape the web in milliseconds, compare prices across 50 retailers, hunt down better interest rates, and, well, basically extract every ounce of value out of the internet.
It completely turns the traditional consumer journey on its head. I mean, historically, brands spent billions on marketing to build brand loyalty.
Yeah, the old billboard and television commercial model.
Exactly. Hoping you would just default to them when it was time to buy.
Yeah.
But an AI does not care about a clever billboard. It does not care about a slick commercial. It only cares about unit economics.
Just the raw numbers.
Just the maths. If the math says switching to a competitor saves 12 cents per transaction, the AI just recommends the switch.
Which I guess creates higher converting traffic for the brands who actually offer the best deal. But mate, it also creates a massive existential threat for a very specific type of business.
Oh, the subscription models.
Right. So if my AI is just ruthlessly hunting for the best deal, does that not kill the entire business model of gym memberships and dodgy streaming services?
It really does.
You know the ones I mean. They rely entirely on us being too lazy or just too busy to cancel. Having an AI agent is essentially like hiring an invisible attack dog for your bank statements.
It is actually worse than an attack dog or an auditor, because an auditor just tells you what is wrong.
Fair point.
An AI agent can actually fix it for you. It fundamentally breaks businesses built on customer inertia. We all have that one subscription we mean to cancel, but just never get around to it.
Because the offboarding process is deliberately infuriating.
Exactly. You have to click through 6 different confirmation screens, read a guilt trip message.
Or worse, dial a 1-800 number and wait on hold for 40 minutes to speak to a retention specialist. They're just having a lend of us at that point.
They build the business model entirely on friction, knowing human beings will eventually just give up and pay the $20 next month.
Yeah.
But an AI agent does not get tired.
Right.
It does not get frustrated by dark patterns on a website. It can parse the HTML, navigate those cancellation flows, and terminate the contract in seconds. Or, in the near future, use synthetic voice to sit on hold and negotiate with the retention specialist for you.
Ah.
And it makes it infinitely easier to switch brands or continuously optimize for price. But there is a massive bottleneck holding this back right now.
Let me guess. I might let an AI scrape the web to find me a cheaper car insurance policy, but I am absolutely not letting it pull the funds directly from my checking account without my fingerprint. There is a massive trust gap there.
That is exactly the bottleneck. The critical battleground is that final approval step.
Yeah.
Consumers are amazed when an AI can compare 20 complex policies in 5 seconds and present the winner. But they freeze up when the AI asks for authorization to make an autonomous payment. Human beings still have a deep psychological need to be the one to press the buy button.
Well, it makes complete sense. Nobody wants to wake up and find out their AI decided to buy a pallet of coffee beans just because the wholesale unit economics looked slightly better on a Tuesday morning.
Right, exactly.
But you can see the tech giants slowly trying to boil the frog here, easing us into trusting machines with our money. Just look at the Google Finance app update for Android.
Oh, they are embedding sophisticated tools directly into the interface people already use daily to check stock prices.
Yeah, they are giving everyday retail investors AI-powered portfolio analysis right in their pockets. You do not need to be a Wall Street whiz anymore.
No, you really do not.
You can upload your holdings or even just describe them to the app, and the AI spits back a highly personalized analysis. It breaks down your sector exposure, flags risks, feeds you real-time financial news tied directly to what you own.
And soon they are adding live earnings call audio too.
Yeah, they want to be the comprehensive hub for everyday investors.
And by lowering the barrier to entry for complex financial analysis, they are competing directly against dedicated, high-fee wealth management advisors.
Because it is right there on your screen.
Precisely. If you have an incredibly articulate AI breaking down your portfolio on a screen you already trust, you start relying on its insights. And once you trust it to analyze your money, well, trusting it to move your money is just the logical next step.
Which brings us to the quiet part nobody is really saying out loud. If humans are still a bit hesitant to let AI actually make the payments, the big tech and finance companies are not waiting around for us to catch up.
Not at all.
They are actively building the backdoor infrastructure to standardize machine-to-machine payments anyway.
Because they know autonomous commerce is inevitable. And that is why we are seeing the launch of the Buy402 Foundation.
Right, I saw this.
This is not some fringe project. It is backed by the Linux Foundation, and the roster of companies involved is just staggering. We are talking Visa, MasterCard, Stripe, Coinbase, Google, AWS.
That is massive.
Over 40 global finance and technology giants uniting around a single, standardized internet payments protocol.
Okay, I want to properly nut out how this works because the concept of Buy402 sounds incredibly dense on paper. What does it actually do under the hood?
Well, think about how software buys things right now.
Right.
It is incredibly clunky.
Right.
If a bot wants to purchase a software license or book a flight, it essentially has to pretend to be a human being. It has to use a headless browser to load a web page, scrape the visual elements to find the checkout button, and then literally type a 16-digit credit card number into a web form.
Wow.
If the website changes its layout or moves the buy button by 2 pixels, the bot breaks. Or, it has to use highly fragmented proprietary APIs that differ from vendor to vendor.
So it is basically a digital Band-Aid. It is software trying to navigate a world built exclusively for human eyeballs and human fingers.
Spot on. The Buy402 protocol, which was originally contributed by Coinbase, by the way, strips all of that away. It creates a unified cryptographic language specifically designed for AI agents and applications to transact natively over the web.
Okay, so how does the transaction actually look then?
Instead of navigating a shopping cart, the AI agent sends a standardized digital handshake to the vendor's server. They negotiate the price, verify credentials via tokenized authentication, and exchange value instantly in the background. And the protocol supports everything from traditional credit cards to stablecoins.
So the entire concept of the checkout cart just vanishes.
Completely.
Commerce completely transforms. Software will not need a user interface to spend money. It will just natively negotiate and exchange funds based on the strict parameters you set up in advance. If you are keen to keep untangling this kind of tech wiring with us, just hit subscribe on whatever app you are using right now.
It is the foundational plumbing for AI-driven commerce. I mean, if Buy402 is widely adopted, it removes the friction of payment entirely for automated systems. Your AI assistant could notice your fridge is out of milk, negotiate with 3 different local grocery APIs, and facilitate the payment before you even wake up.
Here is the analogy that helped it click for me. This whole thing is a massive land grab. The real money for these mega corporations is not necessarily in building the smartest, chattiest AI bot. The real money is in building the toll booth.
Exactly.
They want to own the digital turnstile that every single AI chatbot has to drive through when it wants to spend $1.
Whoever owns the settlement layer controls the future of the internet economy. That explains a lot of the incredibly aggressive moves we are seeing from the major players right now. They are terrified of being disintermediated by an AI agent that decides to use a different payment rail.
Let us look at Stripe, for instance. Stripe and Advent reportedly making a $53 billion bid for PayPal. I have to admit, I am genuinely sus on this move.
It does seem counterintuitive, especially given Stripe's reputation for pristine, modern developer tools. Why do you think it is a misstep?
Well, taking on heaps of debt to execute a multi-year turnaround of PayPal sounds a bit ordinary.
It is a massive undertaking.
Yeah, PayPal is everywhere, sure. They have over 400 million active accounts. But the user experience is notoriously clunky compared to Stripe's native checkout flows. PayPal carries decades of tech debt. Are they just terrified of losing ground to AI agents? It feels highly defensive to buy a legacy giant just for its user base.
It carries significant integration risk, without a doubt. Merging those two cultures and tech stacks would be a nightmare. But if you are Stripe and you want to ensure you are the undisputed infrastructure for the next generation of the internet economy, combining with PayPal creates the absolute largest U.S. payment platform by a massive margin.
So it is a sheer volume play.
It is a pure scale play. You buy the distribution network so that when AI agents start transacting via by 402, they're forced to route through your pipes.
But your point about the debt burden is valid. It could paralyze their ability to innovate organically.
Meanwhile, Visa is not sitting still. They are playing both defense and offense and doing it quite aggressively. Very effectively, too. On the defensive side, Visa is rolling out a white label AI financial assistant that traditional banks can embed directly into their own mobile apps.
So instead of a generic chatbot that just tells you your balance, it is a highly capable AI that actually knows your granular transaction history.
Yes, exactly. It can offer customers hyper-personalized spending insights. It knows when your utility bills usually hit, it can predict cash flow shortages, and you can use a natural language interface to complete complex banking tasks.
Wow.
Visa is offering this underlying tech to financial institutions so those legacy banks can deepen their engagement with their own customers.
They are defending the customer relationship because if a consumer completely trusts their traditional bank's embedded AI, they are far less likely to migrate their direct deposits over to a flashy new third-party fintech app.
Precisely.
The bank leverages its inherent trust advantage, and Visa ensures those transactions stay on Visa's network.
That covers the defense. The offense is arguably much more interesting.
Yeah, this part is fascinating.
Visa is executing a massive expansion into crypto infrastructure. They are launching a brand new platform that allows banks, fintechs, and payment providers to issue, transfer, and manage digital dollars across multiple blockchains.
All operating from a single unified system. They're betting heavily on stablecoins becoming the underlying mechanism for moving money across borders instantly, basically bypassing the old correspondent banking system entirely.
They are throwing their weight behind OpenUSD, which is a new stablecoin designed to fundamentally shift the economics of the crypto market.
Right, because the current model is pretty one-sided.
Extremely one-sided. To understand why this matters, you have to look at how stablecoins currently work. Right now, a dominant issuer like Circle takes your fiat dollar, mints a digital token, and then takes your real dollar and buys a U.S. Treasury bill.
And they just keep the yield.
Exactly. Circle gets to keep the 5% yield generated by that Treasury bill. They make billions doing this.
They are basically a massive, unregulated digital bank keeping all the interest.
Exactly. OpenUSD flips that model. It is designed to share a significant portion of that yield with the distributors, the banks, the payment apps, and the platforms that actually convince the end user to hold the stablecoin.
That is a massive incentive shift. I mean, if I am a fintech app, why would I offer my customers a token where someone else keeps all the profit when I could offer OpenUSD and take a cut of the underlying yield?
You wouldn't.
Visa wants to be the infrastructure layer for blockchain payments, just like they are for plastic credit cards. They want to be the toll booth. And speaking of traditional finance giants muscling into crypto, Citadel Securities just dropped a $400 million strategic investment into Crypto.com.
Securing a $20 billion valuation in the process. This is Crypto.com's first institutional funding round, and the implications are significant.
Yeah.
Citadel is an absolute titan of traditional market making. They handle a massive percentage of all stock trades in the U.S. This investment underscores their growing, deliberate push into crypto market infrastructure.
They have already thrown capital at Kraken, Ripple, Canton. They are methodically building out institutional-grade digital asset platforms.
They're not messing around with speculative meme coins or retail trading fads.
No, they want to own the pipes. Crypto.com is reportedly going to use that capital to rapidly expand tokenized securities and derivatives trading, which lines up perfectly with what I found to be the biggest surprise in all of this research, which was the Coinbase pivot.
Oh, Jesse Pollack stepping away from consumer applications and handing over leadership of the Base app.
Yeah, handing it over to Kobe. I mean, Coinbase has spent years and fortunes trying to make social crypto a mainstream reality. They bet heavily on Farcaster. They pushed creator coins. They tried to build these decentralized social networks where every like, share, and comment was monetized and recorded on a blockchain.
And it just did not stick.
Right. And by handing off the Base app, they have essentially admitted it failed to gain any lasting consumer traction.
It is a stark strategic retreat. Pollack is refocusing his efforts entirely on scaling Base's underlying blockchain infrastructure, rather than trying to build the applications that sit on top of it.
It shook me a little bit, to be honest. The crypto industry is basically giving up on trying to make the blockchain a fun consumer social experience. They are choosing instead to become a boring, invisible settlement layer for global finance.
Yes.
They are prioritizing tokenized asset trading, stablecoin payment rails, and creating the exact infrastructure that Buy402 AI agents will need to transact.
It is a mature admission that the average consumer does not want to interact with the blockchain. They do not want to manage private keys or pay gas fees just like a photo.
Exactly.
They just want the benefits, fast, cheap, borderless settlement. If crypto successfully becomes the invisible rails that AI agents use to transact in the background, it does not need a flashy social network. It just needs to work flawlessly 100% of the time without the user ever seeing it.
To be fair to the other side of this argument, it is not like the venture capital money is just flowing blindly at every shiny tech object anymore. The market is actually demanding some real, tangible fundamentals before they open their wallets.
The broader funding data absolutely confirms that. Global fintech startups raised $28.6 billion in the first half of the year. That represents a 23% increase year over year. But, and this is the critical detail, the actual number of funding rounds fell by 26%.
So there is more cash overall sloshing around, but it is being heavily concentrated into far fewer companies.
Investors are pouring their capital into massive mega rounds. Companies with proven traction like Ramp, eBay, and Allen are driving the vast majority of the volume.
Right.
AI companies continue to attract the strongest interest, and the U.S. market accounted for more than half of all capital deployed globally. They are picking winners early and backing them with overwhelming force.
But at the exact same time, the IPO market is completely frozen. Household fintech names like Stripe, Plaid, Revolut, Monzo, they're all staying private. Their internal valuations keep going up, but nobody wants to actually test the public markets right now.
Because the public markets are demonstrating a severely cooling enthusiasm for richly valued technology companies that lack clear paths to massive profitability. Just look at the dynamics around SpaceX in the secondary markets.
Right. The short sellers circling one of the most famous private companies in the world.
SpaceX shares in the secondary market have actually fallen below their $135 IPO equivalent price as short interest aggressively rises.
Wow.
Bearish traders have produced roughly $4 billion in paper profits simply by betting against SpaceX's valuation metrics just weeks after its record-setting funding round.
Which proves investors are getting incredibly ruthless. They do not just want a cool story about colonizing Mars or revolutionizing AI chatbots anymore. They want clear, undeniable signals of success and profitability. Which leads us to the weirdest market development we need to pick apart today. Kalshi launching prediction markets specifically for drug trial results.
Kalshi, which is a regulated financial exchange, is expanding deep into biotechnology. They are offering contracts tied directly to the outcomes of clinical trials and specific FDA regulatory decisions.
Okay, I have to push back on this heavily. Is that not just begging for rampant insider trading?
It is the first and most obvious criticism.
I mean, what is stopping some lab tech who knows the Phase 3 trial is failing from logging onto Kalshi on their lunch break and betting heavily against the drug before the company issues a public press release?
It is a serious concern, absolutely. Kalshi is highly aware of the regulatory risk, and because they are overseen by the CFTC, they have had to implement strict safeguards.
Like what?
They require intense identity verification and employment checks to weed out insiders. Furthermore, they explicitly exclude contracts on trials that involve pediatric patients or trials that are actively recruiting, just to prevent the market from interfering with the actual science.
Even with employment checks, it still seems incredibly risky. People talk. Why do investors even want this product? If you think a biotech company is a good drug, why not just buy their stock? Why do we need a separate betting market for the trial result?
Because a company's stock price is inherently cluttered with unrelated variables. It is affected by macroeconomic inflation trends, by the CEO's erratic behavior on social media, by broader supply chain issues, or even a bad quarter in a completely different division of the company.
That makes sense.
A prediction market contract isolates a highly specific binary event like an FDA approval. It strips away all the chaos of the stock market and allows you to trade purely on a probability of that single scientific outcome.
It generates a crystal clear probability signal. Traders get to bet purely on the science, or at least the regulatory decision, without worrying if the biotech company's accounting department messed up their quarterly earnings report.
Exactly. And proponents of prediction markets argue that having a transparent, publicly traded price for the likelihood of a drug's success could actually be incredibly beneficial.
Oh, so?
It provides a real-time, financially backed gauge for investors, doctors, and even patients trying to understand the realistic probability of a new treatment hitting the market.
It is ruthlessly efficient. Just like the AI agents bypassing the retention specialist to cancel our gym subscriptions. Just like Buy402 standardizing machine payments so we never have to look at a checkout card again. And just like venture capitalists hoarding their funds for a few proven mega winners.
It all points in the exact same direction. We are systematically stripping away the human friction from the global financial system. The architecture of tomorrow's economy is not being built to accommodate human stockbrokers, emotional retail traders, or consumers who are loyal to a brand's marketing campaign.
Right.
It is entirely about setting up the pristine, high-speed architecture required for machines to negotiate with other machines.
We are building a global economy where software does the comparison shopping, the banking, the negotiating, and the trading. Humans are just here to provide the initial capital and get out of the way. But it makes you wonder, when the AI agents are the ones doing all that actual buying and deciding across the internet, who are the marketing agencies going to make their ads for? Machines do not watch commercials. Make sure your notifications are on so you do not miss where this goes next. Vocal Technologists, see you soon.
Spoken Tech for your ears.